Welcome everyone to the game between Maxime Vachier-Lagrave as he gets up to shake hands with Praggnanandhaa, fifth round of the Sinquefield Cup 2025, and an exciting clash between the two. Maxime getting ready for his battle. He drew his game against Gukesh yesterday, now facing another talented young Indian in Praggnanandhaa. And here you see him getting ready for the clash. Prag has been very solid in this event after his first round win against Gukesh, and that's the nature of this Sinquefield Cup in general. Last year, Prag had 9 draws, so did Gukesh in 9 rounds. This year, we are seeing more combative chess, more fighting results, but the time control is such that the players are able to steady themselves after 40 moves because 30 minutes get added. The players are ready, the game is ready, and we're about to begin. A handshake and off we go. This video is chess mood recap of the day, and you can find some amazing video courses on this platform. If you want to take your game to the next level, check it out. There are some amazing videos by Grandmaster Avitik Grigorian and his team, and that will surely help you to become a stronger player. They are offering 1 month of free premium membership, so do make use of that. MVL begins the game with 1 e4, and Prag, well, in order to show his fighting spirit, plays the Sicilian, and that's a good, interesting decision. Knight comes out to f3, and Prag plays his knight to c6. Very quickly, Rossolimo played here. It is the tournament of Rossolimos. Pawn comes up to g6. Prag played the same opening from the white side against Fabiano Caruana, and now castles. You have bishop g7. Also, Sam Savian versus Gukesh had the same opening, rook e1. Caruana had played knight f6 against Prag. Let's see if Prag repeats that, has some ideas there, or will he go for something different here. He pushes his pawn to e5. And one of the main ideas of this move is to control the center. Yes, the d5 square is a bit weak, but you put your knight on e7 and you castle. Then d6, it's also called as the Botvinnik's triangle, but MVL simply takes here. And now if you take b takes c6, I think c3 and d4 could be dangerous. In general, could be a normal way to play, but d takes c6 taken by Prag, opening up the bishop, pawn to d3 by MVL, and queen comes up to e7, defending the e5 pawn, preparing the knight to come to f6, and now a3. This prepares b4, so have to be very careful here. Should not make any mistakes as black. Knight f6 is a good move, and now b4 makes a lot of sense just to open up the queen side. Yes, he does. Pawn to b4 on the board, and he castles here. So black has castled, and take on c5. He takes the pawn, and now Praggnanandhaa thinks for a bit. After 6 minutes, takes the pawn on c5. Black has the bishop pair here, and it seems like white doesn't have too much in the position, but you can see this move. Bishop a3 is threatened here to win material, and also this bishop on g7 is a bit blocked by its own pawn. So rook d8 played by Praggnanandhaa, very solid move. The knight comes to d2 with the plan of knight c4 hitting the e5 pawn. He comes back, queen to e7. And he brings his knight to c4. This knight attacks the e5 pawn. And black goes knight to e8. Maybe the knight would come to d6 to offer a trade, but you have to be alert of the bishop a3 move. Maybe the idea is to just control, stop knight d6. After bishop a3 to stop white's knight d6. So knight goes back to e8, queen d2. I'm a bit confused about this move. Maybe the plan was queen g5. I'm not so sure. He goes f6 here. Oh, maybe the plan was queen d2 to c3 and then bishop a3. Got it. He wants to play on the queen side here. But f6, making space for the queen to move to f7. Bishop a3 attacks the queen. And now queen jumps to f7. The plan is knight c7, bishop g4. So queen comes up to c3. And now bishop to e6. So he wants to take the knight on c4. Rook b1 played. The pressure on the b7 pawn is mounting, but MVL is ready to take the doubled pawns. Pragg takes it. Bishop c4. And take back with the pawn or the queen. Both moves possible. He takes with the pawn. And here there's a very nice move, c5. You give up the pawn and then bring the rook here to put pressure on c4. But instead, he goes knight to d6. Praggnanandhaa not really wanting to do this, but the downside of this move, knight d6, is that white will get the pawn to c5. So he pushes the pawn to c5, gaining space, clamping down the b7 pawn. And now knight comes to c4. Yes, attacking the bishop on a3. The bishop comes back to c1. And one problem now is rook b4. So Pragg stops it. The knight is kind of untouchable on c4. h4 played by MVL, trying to create some play on the king side, but more than that, stopping this g5 h5 moves by black. And Pragg goes h5, also gaining space on the queen side, on the king side. Rook b3. Maybe at some point the rook could swing over here to g3. He goes rook d7. Pragg is ready to play in the center of the board. And now the knight comes to d2. I love this move actually by MVL. At the right time, he wants to trade rook d4, getting the rook into the center. And after knight takes knight, he can take back with the rook. So knight f3 hits the rook again. And he comes back. The problem for Pragg is that if he takes d2, then bishop d2, bishop e3, rook b1, it's very easy for white to play. And if he wants to kind of make white's task difficult, he has to kind of repeat here. So the game is so equally balanced here that the players are unable to make progress. And here Pragg calls the arbiter because he realizes this will be the third time that he will play this move, rook d7. And so the move is played and a draw is agreed here. A very solid game, I must say, by both players. And I think Praggnanandhaa can be kind of proud of himself, the way he has managed to hold this to a draw with black pieces. Somewhere he was pointing to the g5 square, that maybe he could have played g5 but I believe was there any opportunity or not remains to be seen. As they go into the rest day, Pragg, after his first win, has now 4 draws. He is trailing Fabiano Caruana by half a point here. Caruana on 3.5, Pragg on 3. All the games in round 5 ended in draws, and you can see Pragg now talking about that c5 move, which is a pawn sacrifice, and it could have been a good move there for a chance to fight for a win. And that's the end of the 5th round. Pragg draws against MVL with a solid play from black pieces.